Welcome to the Bank First Ranger Hour. Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 Spotlight on Northwest Community College. And you can listen to our live stream at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour. Now, here's your host, Gary Darby.
All of those things are very true. You can stream, you can listen, you can do all you want with this program, including podcast form later on today. We call it the Bank First Ranger Hour. And we will dive into athletics. There's a lot happening. And first, we will bring back Northwest golf coach Adam Payne to the program. We'll see how the early schedule has gone for his women and men's golf teams. When we get that discussion, then we go to the sports information director. Caleb Burggraaf will be with us. And there's a ton to get done. I don't know how we'll squeeze it all into the hour, but we will do our very best because there are games on athletic fields all over the place involving Northwest Community College. We'll jump into that. I've got information from the Heindel Center. I've got information that we'll pass along in other areas. If we get that opportunity, we'll do so here today on the program. A Thursday, March 5th, 2026 Bank First Ranger Hour. How are you? So again today, a lot of sports to discuss. Men and women's golf, first with their head coach, Adam Payne, and then Caleb Burggraaf, who is the sports information director at NWCC. We will get into softball, baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball. I'll ask him if there's anything else he wants to get into. Whatever we can find the time to talk about Northwest athletics, we will do it today. And then we'll pass along. Let me go ahead and do that for you now with the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts. Moving on into their schedule and continuing to bring in the great acts and things that they do. The Blue Man Group is next, of course, with Larry the Cable Guy by the end of the month. So if you're looking for entertainment in a variety of ways, that's what you do. Blue Man Group coming into Senatobia and the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the 18th of March, and then an evening with Larry the Cable Guy on March 28th. Now, there's many other things to get into. The Northwest Soiree, which we'll start talking about over the next couple of shows. Riverdance 30, the new generation. There are other things happening as well with the Bacon Brothers, and looks like they've added what's called the U.S. Air Force Airmen of Note coming in on April 26th. So there's a lot of things to look for and to do there at the Heindel Center. And much like when we've talked with Rodney Holly at the Batesville Civic Center, or we've talked at other places, other venues that have these acts coming through, sporting events even, the Heindel Center is putting out pretty much the same note and news and warning for you that it would be best for you to purchase your tickets through HeindelCenter.org, HeindelCenter.org, or you call 662-562-3478. They're on campus, and purchase that way. Because obviously, every one of these places, people are walking up with tickets that are not valid. They are purchasing them from maybe the third-party websites that are out there. I don't want to run through all the names, but you all have done it before. And maybe some of you have gotten caught where you bought a ticket off of a certain site, and then it turns out not to be a valid ticket because the Heindel Center and you cannot guarantee that those tickets are valid. So we ask that you purchase. You want to go see the Blue Man Group? Go to HeindelCenter.org. It guarantees you're paying face value for the tickets. You'll get them immediately after the purchase, and you know they will be valid tickets. Or again, you can call 662-562-3478. Best thing for you to do. In fact, I'm on the website. You can look at it, gives you the place to click. Boom, you get them. You're there. You secure your seats, a secure transaction. They will be real, and you don't have to worry about anything except getting there on time and whatever act you would like to see at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts. HeindelCenter.org. That's where you need to go. Whether it's Blue Man Group, Larry the Cable Guy, whatever else that's left in the rest of this schedule for 2026. 9:15, so we take a little pause. We'll come back. We'll talk golf next. Coach Adam Payne will join us. It's the Bank First Ranger Hour.
This hour is everything Northwest. Your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College and powered by Bank First. Thanks for joining us on the Bank First Ranger Hour. Join the conversation now by texting 662-426-1093.
Hey, we just heard that message from Back Nine, the country club on the square. And it kind of leads us into now Northwest golf, right? And let's go in and bring back in Coach Adam Payne. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. And yourself?
Good. I was just talking about the place Back Nine, and last time I was there, I put a club in my hand, and I'm not good in a simulator any more than I am out on the course, Coach. It was not good. It was not good.
I hope you had fun anyway.
We did have fun. We did do that. So let's talk about your teams, men and women in action. Obviously, we are strolling into the spring schedule. Let's start with the ladies and what they have done so far.
Well, the ladies are currently ranked 10th in the nation. We have one girl named Annalie Little, freshman from DeSoto County. She's currently ranked 8th in the country. So we've had 2 events where we've played very well. We've got an event coming up this upcoming week in Pensacola, Florida, and then we'll come back and play in Decatur, Alabama in a few weeks, and then we'll wrap up the spring over in Shallow Ridge before we hit postseason play.
I'm looking at your roster, and it's a large DeSoto County flavor. I know when we talked and you came in and you obviously are familiar with that area, you were excited about the ability to grab players like you just mentioned, whether it is Annalie Little or any of these other young ladies that we're seeing from DeSoto County on your roster.
Well, this current group is heavy from DeSoto County. The DeSoto County area was very strong last year, and we were able to be very fortunate and get Annalie and Bella McNeil, Sarah Grace Niblett, Zasia Davis, and so Avery Savage. And Avery, unfortunately, had a back injury that stopped her from playing this year, but she's been a great teammate. But next year's class we have coming in, we've got a outstanding talent coming in from Mexico. We've got some really good players coming in from the center part of the state and south. So we'll have a very strong class next year. And our sophomores this year, our first ever class that came to Northwest, we've had, 2 of those 3 girls have already committed to go somewhere else and play because they've just improved quite a bit since being here. The third sophomore is having conversations with others. So we've been very fortunate to have very hard-working student athletes who have excelled in the classroom. Our girls' team had a 3.81 in the fall GPA-wise, which led to school and academics. And they're extremely hard workers on the golf course. And every event, we're just getting better and better. I think come postseason play, I don't think we're going to be quite good enough to challenge for a national championship yet, but we'll definitely move up from where we were last year at the national tournament.
Excellent. Coaches, you talk there, and we hear the GPA, we hear the hard work, and then we hear the ability to move forward with their career. You want to be as good as a team. Sure, you want to start stacking titles of whatever event you go to, or eventually a district championship or a national championship. But it is about building those young ladies in a myriad of ways. Educationally, you got to get them there. You get them to your campus, get them better, to move them to whatever. It's one big, I don't know if I could call it ball, but one big, large thing that you're working on there.
It is, and golf is so mental in the sense of you have a bunch of time in between shots to kind of think about things. And so, the biggest thing that we want to make sure we're taking care of is the classroom. We don't want homework or assignments or poor grades being over our head while we're out there trying to practice or play. So I tell them that a great performance starts when your feet hits the floor in the morning. We've got to be detail-oriented in the classroom, detail-oriented in our social life, making smart decisions, putting ourselves in the right places. So when we do get on the golf course, we're at a better state of mind. We're a little bit freer to play. So I just don't think you can be as successful as you want to be if you have other aspects of life that are up in the air or confusing or causing you stress at night. So we definitely we harp on the grades a lot, and we make sure we're attending class. We make sure we're turning in assignments correctly, and it just allows us to have better practice in tournament events.
Coach, I don't know if you can answer this question, but how do you keep your players, men and women, from pulling a Shane Lowry last weekend, right? I mean, he's strolling along, everything's going fine, and then one shot led to just disaster and lost a tournament for him. How do you talk about things like that, or do you talk about things like that with your teams?
We do. I mean, like Annalie Little, she had a chance to win a tournament this past event. She finished second overall, but I mean, unfortunately, she doubled the last hole, and she hit a perfect drive and just hit some bad shots coming in. I try to tell them, golf is like life. You're not going to always have everything go your way. Whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, let's embrace it. Let's learn from the nervous energy. Let's learn from the mistakes. Let's learn from the successes. So when we're put in those situations again, we can have better results. But I think a lot of people are afraid of failure, and the failure is really what helps you succeed later on. So, you got to be willing to fall down on your face. You got to be willing to make some mistakes. But be an adult, learn from it. Let's not shy away from it, and we'll be a better player the next time that situation comes around.
Let's move to your men's team. What can you tell us about them so far?
Well, our men's team is we're just ranked outside the top 25. Ball striking wise, we're about as good as anybody I've ever seen in our conference or even in the region or nation. We are snake bit with getting the ball in the hole when it comes to birdies. So every one of the events we've been extreme. We've either been the leader or one of the top teams in pars made. We just aren't making birdies. And that's a mental thing. We'll make a 5-footer for par, but we'll miss a 3-footer for birdie. And so that's part of that mental game that we're just struggling in right now of afraid of making a bogey because you're trying to be perfect, which doesn't allow you to have success. But, ball striking, effort-wise, grade-wise, they had a 3.7 in the fall, which led to men's programs here at Northwest. I love everything about them. We just got to figure out how to relax a little bit when we have some birdie putts. And, once we start making some birdies, this team can be really, really good. I think we've played 90 straight holes as a team, and you take 6 guys to an event. So, you can do, that's 540 holes. We haven't lost the ball yet. So we're hitting the ball extremely well. We're just not getting the ball in the hole when we need to.
Tell us where the roster is constructed. How did you And where did you bring these guys from?
We've got 2 guys from Germany, Caesar and Arthive. Just kind of lucked into getting both of those guys. Extremely talented. I think you could actually possibly see Caesar play it on TV one day. He's got that type of talent. Arthive is extremely smart, very methodical around the golf course. He's actually ranked in the top 100 players in the country. Fade is from France, another powerful player. Then we got Cole Erlander, who's just been playing great for us this spring from Hernando, Mississippi. But when we look into the recruiting class that we've got coming in, we've got kids coming in from, New Albany, like a Nick Little or a Michael Robinson from Lafayette, all the way down to the coast. So we've got players coming in the fall from all the way from DeSoto County all the way down to the coast. So we've got a really good mix of hardworking young men that are coming in the fall. And, with what we have returning back, Fade, Arthive, Caesar, and Cole, who are all freshmen, they're our top 4 players. We've got we're going to have a very strong team next year, and we've got 5 guys currently being looked at. We've had 2 girls already commit. We've got 5 guys being looked at by other schools. So I think it's important that we find places for our guys and girls to go other places after here. It just helps us to recruit. It gives us some credibility in the state that we can produce good academic people, good character people, and good golfers.
I may have to get on a bus and ride with you somewhere because the 2 names that you mentioned, first of all, Michael played a summer league baseball on my team. We won a championship. In fact, he had the game-winning hit as a 9th grader on that. I ran him obviously out of baseball into golf, so good there. And then Nick Little is related to my wife, so we have to make a golf trip at some point, Coach.
That's right. Yes, please do. Those are great individuals who are just hard-working guys. You did a great job or somebody did a great job of just building great character. They come from great families. I know they're going to do great things for us. And, the main thing when we first look at, the golf is the last thing we look at. We just want strong academic, strong leaders, strong character people who have really hard work ethics that want to come in and get better in every facet of life.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. Where are you next as far as I think you've mentioned the women's schedule. Where are you next with the guys?
The guys will go in 2 weeks. We just came off of a very long trip. We were in on the coast last week, the end of last week, and then we turned around and went to Dancing Rabbit this past Monday and Tuesday, so we've got a week and a half off, and then we go to Meridian, play Northwood Country Club, and then we'll be going over to Decatur, Alabama, to playing at Burning Tree. And then we've already played, the men have played a few more events than the women have, so they only have 2 regular season events, and then we'll hit the conference play and district play, and then hopefully qualify for nationals and be going to Indiana.
That sounds great, Coach. Thanks again for your time, and good luck the rest of the way. We'll catch up when we're winning some of those district championships and later on in the schedule. How's that sound?
Well, sounds great, and thanks for everything you all do for Northwest.
Appreciate it. Coach Payne, thanks.
All right.
We appreciate him being on. Coach Adam Payne, men and women's golf coach. As you said, the women nationally ranked, the men just outside the rankings. Obviously, as he talked about, playing against big-time talent in the community college world. For the men, as he mentioned, it is Meridian next, a Monday and Tuesday, March 23rd and 24th at Northwood. And then for the women, as they continue their schedule after a finish which was in the Snead State Women's Spring Invitational. They'll be next Monday and Tuesday in the Jefferson State Women's College Invitational in Pensacola, Florida, and then come back, play at Shiloh Ridge against Northeast, Community College, hosting there. And then they get into their district championships, which will be at Oxford, Alabama, and then the national championship, possibly in Tuscaloosa. We wish them all the best of luck. How about that? All right, good stuff there. Let's continue with Northwest Sports, shall we? With Sports Information Director Caleb Burggraaf will join in on the discussion next. He'll take us through everybody else. Okay, here we go.
Thanks for listening to the Bank First Ranger Hour, your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College on Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 and streaming live at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour.
We thank golf coach Adam Payne for being on, chatting with us about his teams and what they are doing. And now we'll bring in Sports Information Director Caleb Burggraaf, who's on. And although I don't know why, Caleb, is there anything else going on in your world of athletics, or are you and I just going to chat for about 10 minutes on something else? What's up?
I think let's just chat about this wonderful spring weather we got. That's about all that's going on. I've been sleeping in my office almost every day.
Yeah, right.
Nothing big.
I know you have. Oh my gosh! Because I get the message from Dr. Dale and what we're going to do in this sport, and I know it's busy, right? I know we're moving into spring, and everybody's got something going on, and of course, basketball both getting into playoffs, first time for both of them to be in quite a while together. And so we've got a lot to go to. Plus, let's start here, if you don't mind. Let's start softball a little bit. Can you give us an update on Coach's team and Coach Bramlett, what the Ranger softball team's been up to?
Well, it's been obviously the winter storm kind of put them on the back heels a little bit just because they had to cancel their first opening tournament of the year. Ended up actually getting off to a really good start. They got off to a 6-3 start, and their only losses have come to some really good competition so far. They ended up splitting with Wabash, a Division I team from Illinois, and that was some really good competition. The loss was only a really bad inning from Meredith Dearman in a game where she really shut them down. I think she gave up one hit outside of the 7-run inning that she ended up running into. So really good performances there, and then the only other two losses this week came to Gadsden State, where that's a team that's 20-0 at the Division I level. So they've been playing really good competition and really stepping up to the challenge right now. And a learning curve. I think that's going to be the biggest piece to look at this softball team with, is for the early first half of the season. She's got so many freshmen that are contributing on the field right now. It's going to be fun to watch them grow and develop on the field as we get to see them become a competitor, and already being a competitor for the MAC title.
All right, so a big couple of days for them too, right? And I know you've got basketball events that are going to be on campus as well. But you just mentioned Gadsden State, right? They're going to meet up against them and then open up the conference. Oh, I don't know, number 3 Jones. How about that?
It's going to be a great weekend for softball, and we had to move it up for the weather. I know everybody else has been kind of moving their baseball and softball around for this weekend because of the storms that are supposed to come through. So today, this afternoon, in fact, if you want to really come check it out, baseball at 2, softball at 5, you get all that stuff, and you can go over and catch the end of the basketball game at 6 after all of that winds down. So softball today, you mentioned it, Gadsden State in town, undefeated, so that's always a little thrill to come in and check out. And Jones is going to be a heck of a test for us on our home opener for MAC conference play.
All right, you mentioned baseball, so let's stroll over there. And what about Coach Carson and company?
Tell you what, that's going to be a scrappy team to watch so far this year. They're still kind of figuring some things out. The pitching has some questions on the back end of the rotation still, kind of figuring out who the bullpen arms are going to be as far as who the first 2, 3, 4 guys out of the bullpen are going to be. Finalizing that stuff, but they played really well. They just got done up at the Perfect Game Invitational up in Millington, where they beat both of the Division II teams they played. In fact, both Division II teams that were ranked in the top 25 at the preseason. So got those 2 wins. The only 2 losses came to Division I teams up there as well. And that's been kind of the story, a loss to Pearl River. They end up losing to Meridian, who they split with over the year. They're not losing to bad teams. The losses are to competitive teams, and they're beating the teams they should beat. Parkland's in town today at 2 o'clock. That's going to be another great test. They were number 15 in the opening polls this year. Really excited to see what they can do. Darren Randall's going to be on the mound today for him, who's looking to try and kind of solidify himself into one of the top spots in the rotation. And I think Coach Carson's excited to see what his team can do against a really talented team that comes in and gives us a different look than we maybe seen before.
What has Northwest done to anger the conference schedule makers, right? Because when you look at the very first conference, and that's down the road, but it's number 3 East Central, right? I mean, I know what it is. It's playing it in this state, no matter the sport. We've said it over and over and over. There's some really good teams.
Well, and I think this team in particular takes those good teams as a challenge. They don't fade away from them, and that's something that Coach Carson kind of preaches into them. You look at when Lakeland came up here, and they get knocked around a little bit in one of those 3 games, but they end up playing really closely with them. And I think this is a team that says, hey, give us your best shot early, because that gives us an idea of where we stand and where we can keep getting better at. And I think that's why the conference, you say, what do we do to make them angry? I almost look at it as what do we do to get them to give us this kind of little gift of, okay, we can set the barometer versus number 3. And then when we see them later on in the postseason, we're looking at a team that we know what to expect from.
That's a very good point. See, you've got your job for a reason, Caleb. You know? Yeah, excellent. Very, very well done. All right, speaking of well done, we've had Coach Redmond on, and obviously taking over this Ranger basketball team, and points galore. I mean, this team scores. They get up and down the floor. They run. They're exciting. I guess they're calling themselves the Running Rangers, right? I don't know, but they make the Region 23 tournament. When was the last time that happened? And then tell us about tonight's game.
Last time that we made it, I believe, was 2018-19. Last time that we hosted a game in the tournament was 2017-18. So it's been about 8 years since we played a home game at Howard Coliseum in the region tournament or the conference tournament. So Rangers are really exciting. You mentioned the running side of things. There's only 2 teams in the country that score more points than this running Rangers team. A team in Kansas out of Butler and a team in South Carolina as well. So they are definitely putting on a show when they step out there. And they're doing it without a player that at the beginning of the year we were expecting was going to be a huge piece for us. Our leading scorer, who averaged 17 points a game for the first 16 games of the year, he's out. He's been out since conference play started. So this is a team that really adjusted extremely well to what they were ending up having to deal with as far as some bad turns that came on the season. Really, really impressed with what they've done. And I think they're the team that everyone's looking at going, we don't want to play them in the postseason.
Right, yeah.
Because we bring a style that's so different than everybody else, just that fast-paced hockey line changes. Every coach has struggled with finding a way to get their players to adjust.
18-11, won the last 2, got themselves in. So who is the opponent tonight in Senatobia?
Tonight, it's a new team that we haven't faced off with before, which in a way is a good thing. Southern University Shreveport will be up in town, the team out of the Louisiana that comes in from Region 23. They ended up getting the 9 seed, so it's a battle with this one to see who faces off against Itawamba in the next round on Saturday.
So what seed did Northwest get in this?
Picked up the 8 seed.
8 seed. So this is 8-9, and then you get Itawamba, as you said. What happened between Northwest and Itawamba in the regular season?
Itawamba, well, they had a really good regular season. Northwest caught them at the beginning of it, right after they ended up losing to Dakota Morris, and so that we played them, had a 16-point lead at the half. That's one where the coaching staff is looking at. They have it circled. Oh, man, this plays out perfectly, because if we can play this, the only 2 teams who we really had bad performances, you really look at and say, man, that just wasn't the game that we want to play again. Those 2 teams don't play we wouldn't play until the championship game, the way the bracket works out. So it's kind of a nice little theme through it. If you can get this win against Shreveport, get a win against Itawamba at their place, and then head down to Southwest for the Region 23 tournament and semifinals.
Excellent. And then we have Coach Laterrell Williams and his ladies, who great season for them. And of course they finished how did they finish with 6 straight wins to end up?
Yep, it was after that Meridian game, something clicked in that team. I think they got a little bit woken up again into their what form they're in right now. Coach said this is the team that he's been waiting for all season long. Takira Bland got healthy. She was missing a good portion of the conference season, came back. That helped out Laureate Story, who, if she's not an All-American, I don't know who's going to be an All-American on this team right now with the way she is playing inside. She's 3rd in the country in rebounding down low, and she also is one of the top scorers on the team. Dakira Mitchell's a 3-point threat from anywhere, and she has that trigger there. She's willing to take it from anywhere, which scares a lot of defenses, because she's firing from 26, 27 feet and making them consistently from out there. really, they have threats from everywhere. Coach Williams says this is the best team he's had out there in terms of having a chance to really make that push. And, again, I think we're the team that nobody wants to play, especially after that win at Mississippi Gulf Coast by nearly 30 points against the Bulldogs. That really, I think, woke up the conference to say, man, this is a team we got to be careful for.
So did they earn the 4 seed? Is that correct?
They actually picked up the 3 seed with the way the tiebreakers worked out. Everybody was going and trying to figure out what it was. There were about 9 different solutions for that tiebreaker way to work out going into the final week. Rangers ended up picking up the 3 seed, so they will end up having to go to Pearl River for the semifinals starting up next week. As long as they can pick up a win, they'll face off against either Jones or Holmes. Most likely Jones is going to get the winner of that 6 versus 11, and then they'll come here on Saturday evening at 5:30.
Excellent. All right, so you are stacked with events Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Anything else going on? What else do we need to talk about before I let you go?
I got to give one shout-out to Ryan Mounce and the tennis team. They had, you talk about the schedule makers giving them a little bit of a rough kind of start to things, ended up having to take on Jones College right at the beginning of the conference schedule. But they've come out with some big wins against some ranked opponents. They took down Meridian earlier this week. They've already got a win against Holmes, not a ranked opponent, but still came back and got a really solid 9-0, 9-0 win over that. Tennis is a sport to be watching and keeping your eye on because Ryan Mounce is doing some fun things with the Rangers there.
Excellent. All right, get you some help. What field of you gonna see all 3 sports today? I mean, what?
I'm sending Oakley to softball today. I got baseball, and then I'm swinging over to basketball to take care of those 2 things. Oakley's going to be over at baseball, then he'll swing to softball. Mary Grace will be jumping around between it as well. It's a party over here. Come on, say hi. We might put you to work, though. We got some cameras we need run.
That's what I was about to ask, right? Because do you have enough people so we can see a little video of all of this if we can't make it? So if you need a job, Caleb needs help. He can find you some.
We got hot dogs, hamburgers. We'll feed you.
What better thing can we have, right? You get to go run a camera. They'll give you a hot dog. You can watch some sports, and it'll all be fun. Caleb, great job today.
Hey, appreciate you. Thanks so much.
All right, that's our friend and new SID, Caleb Burggraaf, with us. How about all that, right? You've got everything happening today. Softball taking on an unbeaten team. Baseball playing today against a nationally ranked opponent. Men's basketball getting an opportunity to host in the Region 23 tournament. All of that with the women waiting to see who wins to come Saturday and play. Softball moving up a couple of games to Friday. What you need to do, I know it's hard to follow along, NWCCRangers.com. NWCCRangers.com. That's the easy way to get it done. And then you can just find your sport, find your schedule, write it all down, and go support someone. They're all over the Northwest campus this next 3 days. Good stuff from both guests today. We really appreciate their attendance on the program. Good luck on the field of play to all of our Ranger teams as they continue. Some just getting their schedules kind of underway, so to speak. Others in playoffs. And we will follow along and keep things going. Hopefully with some more trophies coming into Senatobia very, very soon. Later on today, you'll be able to find this in podcast form. So if you missed our interview with Coach Adam Payne of the golf programs, you can go back and catch that. Or if you missed any of the possible schedule talk or different sports that we just had with Caleb, you can go do that as well. All right? But that puts a wrap on our Bank First Ranger Hour on this Thursday, March 5th. Thanks for you being around. However you're listening to this program Tuesday through Friday, I really thank you. We really need you to hang around. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. So long.
Now the time has come for leaving, fear now we shall return. We were so glad we could make it, but so sad we gotta run. Well, it might be a long time till we raise